Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and this is a great 1938 Art Shaw concert poster. I like to call him Artie Shaw, he was more known that way. And primarily great because of who his lead vocalist was on the bandstand, and that of course would be the distinguished one, Miss Billie Holiday, all of 23 years old. But I just did a Tommy Dorsey and Frank Sinatra one where Sinatra, 1941, was not on the poster, and here 38 Art Shaw, Billie's not on the poster. Quite often it really was the big band leader who was the star, who carried the day, who got all the billing, and of course there was a lot of rotation with the sidemen and the soloists and the lead singers and stuff, so maybe that's one of the reasons they did that. But you know, there may be another reason that, well, first of all, let's point out that Billie was the lead singer for Art Shaw for several months, perhaps 8 months or so, in 1938, and this falls within that range, which is really cool. So she absolutely was singing some songs live on stage with him at the time, in September 1st here of 1938. Before the Artie Shaw band, she was with Count Basie's band for a number of months, perhaps 11 months, and that was March of 1937 through February of 1938. And interestingly, Count Basie paid her $70 a week, and out of that she had to pay for her own hotel and food, so not a lot of money being made back then. And Art Shaw actually paid her less the next year, $65 a week, but I don't know if the per diem was included or not. So, but anyway, she was with Count Basie, and there are, he jealously says, concert posters from '37 in which Billie Holiday's name is deemed to be mentioned at the bottom of the poster. In fact, I don't have the poster itself. I have a picture of one here, and this is the the tour blank without the information at the top. But you can't see it. You know, Count Basie and his orchestra, and in person down there at the bottom it does say featuring Billie Holiday and James Rushing, Jimmy Rushing, if you will. So she's mentioned on this poster, but Art Shaw didn't. So that's sort of a little bit distressing and distracting. But I'm sure they had their reasons, and in fact, one of the reasons may have been the Count Basie band was all black, and of course so was Billie, and the Art Shaw band was all white, and so they may have felt, boy, we can't put the name of a black, female singer on our poster. Racism was just so rampant back here in the late 30s and early 40s, with especially these tours going into the South and stuff like that. You just had to be so careful. I'll have more on that in just a second. But interestingly, when Billie was singing with Artie here, if you will, strictly from a chart position, she was doing really well, because just a couple of weeks before this September 1st show, she entered the charts with the second biggest record of her career chart-wise, and it reached #2, and that is I'm Gonna Lock My Heart Away. And throw away the key, I presume. But of course, I only say from a chart position, really emphasizing that because her next two chart records were career-defining and much more important, of course, and that's Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child. But here in '38 with Art Shaw, she just happened to be releasing, her second highest charter, #2, with Gonna Lock Away My Heart. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat. So, okay, as I mentioned, she was making $65 a week here with Artie, and just 8 months with him. And these stints were both frustrating for Billie. She just didn't really fit into the band scene, whether it was an all-black ensemble or an all-white one like Artie. The racism was just so prominent, it just wore her down. In fact, what's interesting is when she was with Basie's band, she was almost considered too light-skinned, a Negro, if you will, to fit in, and she actually had to put on darker makeup in some venues to make sure there was no questioning that she was an African-American woman, which is just crazy. And then you had this situation, and with a couple of small regional exceptions, this was an instance of, this was the first time that a black lead singer had fronted an all-white band in the big band era, or any time before, of course. And that was just really, people were really raising their eyebrows and scratching their heads about that one, and it just created a lot of problems for Billie. Everybody from restaurant help to hotel clerks, even local sheriffs and stuff, gave her a hard time and were just like really, oh, it was just terrible. And she said, quote, I got to the point where I hardly ever ate, slept, or went to the bathroom without having a major NAACP type production. She says this in her autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues. I got tired of having a federal case over breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Almost every day there was an incident. So that's just really, that's sad to hear, let's face it, these days. So, that's really unfortunate, but that certainly was a way of life, especially in the Deep South in the 1930s and everything. And, Billie was just increasingly isolated during her stint with Artie Shaw. In fact, can you imagine the pressures of being not only, the first instance of a touring band down south, the first time a black singer with an all-white band, she was also the only woman in the Artie Shaw Orchestra. So what a couple of instances, way before women had rights and things like that. I mean, just really isolating. She was a strong woman. It's one of the reasons she's so popular today. Her enduring legacy is just what she put up with and what she went through. And she was really, toward the end of her tenure with Artie, she was just getting so marginalized because, Shaw had to buckle to pressure and bring in a white singer, Helen Forrest, to do some performances. And he was really pressured from especially the radio broadcast end of things. I don't know if it was the NBC broadcast network or whatever. They really wanted the white singer to go out over national airwaves. And, it got to the point where Billie was just, sitting upstairs. She couldn't sit out in the audience, and she couldn't sit on the bandstand because she was black. So she'd be sitting upstairs waiting for the call. And for an entire evening's performance, sometimes it would get down to just being called once or twice to sing a song, and Helen would take many more vocals. And as I said, she was just marginalized to the point of it was obviously very, very humbling. And she said she eventually just fired herself. She just fired herself. And there's another reason, though, she also didn't fit in well, is that on these broadcasts, in the late 30s, the biggest revenue stream for music corporations was sheet music. Sheet music sales were very important. And so Helen Forrest, the white lead singer, would toe the line and basically stay with a melody. Well, anybody who knows Billie Holiday well knows that she loved to sing behind the beat, and she loved to improvise and so forth. And she just got really creative with songs, which makes her such a joy for us to listen to. I was going to say today, but ever since she recorded them, made her so magical. But it wreaked havoc on the music business and the sheet music sellers. And so she would take liberty with a melody line and stuff, and then they'd try to sell the sheet music, and it just wouldn't work very well. So, interestingly, we don't have much chance to hear Billie singing, though, with the Artie Shaw Orchestra. In fact, we have one chance to hear her because of record contract differences and conflicts. It turns out that Billie recorded just one track with the Artie Shaw Orchestra, and that was Any Old Time. They did it in July. Here it is, September 1st, and it was withdrawn. But I believe it's available now. I think you can get it places like Amazon.com and stuff like that. So we know Billie's recording legacy and how she would sing behind the beat and everything, but not necessarily with Artie because they just only did the one track together. So that's kind of weird. Even Art Shaw's management had to admit, and Billie was sort of tagged as too artistic, if you can believe it. Well, guess what? That's what makes her a Hall of Fame legend and everything for us, being too artistic and not just towing the line and staying on your mark and everything, right? But she just couldn't be contained within a band like this. So that was another reason. So as I said, even Art Shaw's management itself said that. And interestingly, they're plugged at the bottom of the poster. I'm going to get in there, and you can see as I move the angle around a little bit. At the very bottom, I guess I should move my fingers, but there's actually 3 cities given, and that's Rockefeller Center in New York City. There's one in the Central Loop in Chicago, and of course on Sunset Strip in Hollywood. So those are the 3 representatives of the time for the Art Shaw Orchestra. So there you have it. I'm still working on getting my first Billie Holiday concert poster where she fills the whole card. Like there's a 49 from Sacramento I've been working on and stuff. But for now, I'll have to settle for a Billie Holiday Ghost concert poster, and that's okay. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it and hearing the story behind it. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Take care.